Hi guys, and welcome back to another watercolor painting session. So before I go into more of a rambly part of the video, I'm actually going to show you a little bit of footage of me explaining a little bit of the sketching process on Procreate. So we'll just skip into there right now. Hi, so I don't know how I'm going to exactly segment this into the video, but this is the original sketch on the iPad, and then I did do colors on top using a multiply layer. But yeah, this is what I'm planning for the painting. And then let me see if I can show you guys so you guys can see the whole sketching process. I think the coloring is like my favorite parts when I started to do the flowers. But yeah, but back to hopefully the actual watercoloring video and sketching portion and all that jazz, so yeah. Okay, so back to, I guess, more of the rambly portion of the video. So I'm going to make sure to put all of the supplies and all the materials that I used in little cards above, or like little flags, as well as in the description. So hopefully you guys can check them out if you're interested in any of the things that I've used. In terms of my watercolor palette, I have a video linked below with some timestamps in that video that actually shows every different kind of watercolor that I use in that particular palette, but for the majority of the paints it is the Holbein set. Yeah, so I am using two different brushes today. As usual, I'm using the Artist Loft Necessities size 12 brush, as well as my size 6 Raphael Kolinsky 8483 I think brush. And yeah, so today I am going to be painting this little illustration of Masaki, just to continue the series of Masaki kind of being this little tiny traveler, and he's kind of like transporting or collecting these flowers. I kind of like the idea of him kind of transporting these flowers, and he's just like a really tiny being who's doing this. Obviously this is just kind of like an alternate universe kind of idea. Sorry if you can hear my laptop fan, it's a little bit loud. So as you can see, similar to the other watercolor paintings I did of Masaki, I actually did a quick wash of yellow. Now this didn't really show up in the final just because the flowers are more of an orangey color anyways, and I believe I end up blocking in the majority of the flowers with kind of like a pale orange anyways, so it wasn't as necessary compared to the other paintings that I've done before. So I believe for a good chunk of this video I am trying my best to show you more of the process of me painting the flowers, just because because I've already done two different videos of Masaki doing this flower transporting kind of thing. I don't want to be too repetitive, so I did try to, I'm going to try my best in the future, as well as just starting with this one, kind of varying up the poses a little bit more so that it's a little bit more interesting to look at. The other two were very much just like standing or very basic, just upright poses, so I'm going to try my best to incorporate a little bit more dynamic poses, or poses that are not too straightforward in terms of just like a full-on standing pose, even though I do like painting the entirety of Masaki's outfit. So you saw me do the sketching in Procreate, and I decided to do that because I was out and about and I found it to be the best time to actually just sit down and just do a pose and look at some flower references and doodle in some flowers. So I'm gonna put the name of the flower on the screen because I actually don't remember what kind of flowers these are. I just collect like a lot of different flower references on Pinterest, and then I will just basically refer to them, and hopefully that on Pinterest they will have the names labeled, because I know some photos don't, but a lot of the ones I do collect tend to have the names. So if I do put the name up during when I'm doing this voiceover or whatever, yeah, it means that I guess it had a name attached to the photo. So I kind of goofed with his eyes. So in previous illustrations that I did of Masaki, Masaki's eyes are just like a nice kind of like a green color, but I like to start off more with a yellowy green base, and the color that I chose to start off with his eyes was a little bit too dark, and you'll see that there's gonna be a bit of a difference between the eyes that I end up showing you how I painted and then how it looks like in the end, because I actually end up scrubbing at it a little bit to lift off the pigment, because his eyes didn't really match similar to the last two pieces, which makes me a little bit sad. But I think in general this entire piece went a little bit darker compared to my other two pieces. I think the very first one I did, where he's kind of like in profile walking with the purple flowers, it has like the best amount of like luminosity, and it had like good balance, I think. And then the second one I did was kind of like okay. I really like the second one, but I did lose a little bit of the luminosity, like making some areas a little bit too dark and a little bit too muddy. And then with this one, a lot of my base colors that I started off with, like other than the skin, so like mostly his clothes as well as the flowers, I kind of went too dark too fast, and it makes the whole illustration just it looks a little bit heavier than what I would expected it to be, especially like the flowers, because in the reference that I had, they were really pale, I guess. They're like a pale yellow with some orange tinges towards like the center of it, I believe, as well as like, you know, certain parts of the tips are like where the petals would curve in for shadows and stuff, and it's just like it looks really delicate. And I don't mind the way how I painted the flowers, but I think I kind of just went ham on too many dark tones and like darker values, which kind of made everything just look a little bit too dark in general. As you can see, I'm working on the hair, so I'm just adding the first pass for the hair and indicating highlight. His highlights on his hair is a little wonky. I don't think I was thinking properly of even like, I didn't have a general idea of where I wanted to have a light source. I just kind of had it coming from like the upper left, but I don't think I have anything in this illustration that really demonstrates having like a proper light source, because I really didn't plan that out even when I did the brief color comp I did on the iPad. I don't know, I think I was just a little bit too rushed again. Now, if anyone's wondering, I actually haven't started on the Mingyu piece still. It's kind of been on the back burner. I've been just having fun just doodling in watercolors, or like doing small one-off sketches and then painting them, and just doing those for live streams for a little bit and just kind of relaxing. And I feel like I should tackle the Mingyu piece, because I think I mentioned this before that I kind of want to keep the momentum up. But right now I'm in a very like traditional art mood. I want to like play in my sketchbook a little bit more. I've been doodling in my sketchbook a little bit more, which is nice. I think I have about 10 pages, or I guess 20 pages if you count front and back, left, which is kind of nice. So about like 10 spreads left. So I'm really close to finishing my sketchbook, and I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for me to do another sketchbook tour, and I apologize that I haven't been too in love with my traditional work lately, let alone my sketches, but I think I just needed to revisit pencil. I think the last few sketchbooks that I did, I had a lot of fun transitioning into using the Crayola Super Tips with the... what pen is this? The Staedtler Liquid Point. This one's out. I should just check this out. This one's... oh wait, no, this one's full. I have another pen that's completely out and it's really scratchy. But yeah, I think I've been doodling too much using that method, to the point where I'm not focusing a lot on like my sketch per se. I've been just relying too much on the ink, and when the ink doesn't turn out well, I'm just like getting more and more unmotivated to draw in my sketchbook. So I kind of pulled back again. I did some sketches with pencil and then colored those pencil sketches with marker instead, like the Crayola Super Tips. Crayola Super Tips are like still my favorite way to add color to my sketches in my sketchbook because they're just the most convenient. There's no bleed through. You have lots of colors. But yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, I think on the weekend, because this video comes out on Wednesday, I think, and today is like Sunday, so yeah, I think on the weekend I was doodling a lot of Wonu. Wonu is like, I don't know, I'm really in love with his, I guess like the entirety of 17's air, like, how do I explain this? Pilot photos, they're like, it looks like 17 Airlines or whatever, because like it's for the 4th gen, I think it's 4th gen Carrot Kit thing, Carrot membership. Yeah, and I think the photos are like super adorable. I think people in uniform, like in general, female, males in general, just look so like formal, but like they look so cool, but like I also find it very cute. I don't know, I just find it attractive. Yeah. Maybe this is a me thing, I don't know. But I've been drawing a lot of like Pilot Wonu, and then I've been drawing a lot of stuff from Carrot Land, because him in the sweater that's like gray and pink and holding like the little bear paw kind of little paddle things they've been using for their what do they call it? Futsal? It's not futsal. I guess it's like volleyball, but it's like you're using your palms or whatever and you have to hit it across. But yeah, that was the biggest tangent. Yeah, okay, so I'm forgetting what I was talking about. Drawing Wonu. So I was drawing a lot of Wonu in my sketchbook lately, and I've been having a lot of fun just using graphite, using the markers. I think graphite's just like my #1 way to work in a sketchbook. I just love to sketch really lightly and then go ham and, you know, push the values to make them darker, pick out lines that I like, and make my sketch look a little bit cleaner, and then accent those sketches with some colors. I think recently, for my Carrot Land Wonu sketches, I've been using like this kind of cherry pink color, as well as like a yellow and this really minty light green color. And I've been using that for his accent colors. And then for Pilot Wonu, I was using kind of just a normal yellow, and then like a cerulean blue, and then kind of like a royal blue. And just kind of using those to accent the pages. I don't know, it's just really, I've been having fun. I've been having fun in my sketchbook, and I feel happier, I guess. I'm just gonna try my best to keep this momentum going, because I want to rebuild my sketching habit. I used to sketch pretty much every night, at least, before I slept. So yeah, I haven't been doing that for the last few months, but I've been doing it more this weekend, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, here's some more detail shots for the watercolor piece. I decided to zoom in the camera so you guys can see a little bit of the line work. As you can see, I was a little bit shaky with my line work, but I think it's also because I didn't plan out the lighting and stuff, because I actually didn't know if I wanted to put such a dark line work on the left side. But I ended up doing that because I have a lot of the teal color and a brown color mix, so I kind of just mixed them together and then added a little bit more of a Prussian blue to push it more towards the blue side. And it's like a dark enough color for me to use for his sweater line art. As you can see, I'm still being lazy and just using the one brush to do everything. I've been trying to look into I'm not using other brushes. I've been looking into maybe buying at least one more brush that's similar to my Raphael Kolinsky 8483 brush. I'm scared that I'm gonna ruin this brush one day, and this brush is actually like my favorite brush. It holds a lot of water, it has a sharp tip. Yeah, I really like it. It always makes me like wonder how fast like I've dismissed a art product before, not art product, like an art tool before, without having to try it out like completely. I remember, like, I can't talk, I've been mumbling this entire time. I'm sorry if like this whole rambly and the weird tangent that I went off was like super rambly and very mumbly. I don't So yeah, this brush, I'm just scared I'm gonna accidentally ruin it and I'm not gonna be able to use it again, like as like my favorite brush, because I used literally this brush to do everything. So I use it for some of the bigger areas, for the smaller areas, for detailing, for the gouache, and I feel like I should divvy it up so I'm not damaging the brush. But yeah, when I first got it from Japan, and when I came back and I did that 4-color challenge, I think, I really didn't like the brush. I felt like the brush was too soft for my liking, but that's because I was just being too heavy-handed, because the brush I used to use was so like springy. Like, it kept its shape to the point where, like, how do I explain this? It wasn't like mop like my other brush. My other brush was like a liner brush, basically. Not a liner, a script brush. And it held its form so well that it always springs back into place. So I was usually like quite heavy-handed with it because I could get away with being heavy-handed, like other than doing the line work. And when I switched over to use this brush, I was like, whoa, this brush is so soft, like I don't know how to use it. And I thought that I wouldn't be able to use it for line work. But in the back of my brain, I've seen so many artists use like this like squirrel hair brushes that look like more like squirrel hair, like mop kind of traditional brushes and stuff, and they do beautiful work using it, using like that sharp tip and getting really crisp lines. And I'm just like, holy crap, like clearly I'm doing something wrong. And I was using it way too heavy-handed, so I'm glad I gave it another chance. And like, it's basically my holy grail brush, and I'm happy to use it now. I think learning brush control is like what changed watercolor for me. I think just being able to do this kind of style of painting, watercolor painting, just really made me enjoy watercolor painting much more. I think I talked about this in other videos, but I'm just gonna put a disclaimer out here. I don't have anything against like different styles and methods of painting or like how people approach painting. It's just like I prefer to do things a certain way because it makes me feel better about the process. But yeah, so what I'm gonna say here, you might not agree with. I don't like doing line work. Like with a technical pen, with a brush pen, with a ballpoint pen, whatever pen you use for line art, for like traditional work, and then coloring things after. I don't know if it's just like I'm bored of the process now because I've done it for so long, or because I feel like when I do line work first and then erase my sketch, and then I either fill in the color, so like I'm painting it, or I don't know, just blocking it in. I feel like I'm leaning towards too much of the feeling of like a coloring book. Like I feel more restricted to follow the shapes, follow the lines, make sure to stay within the lines. Now I feel like that would be a little bit different if I did use a liner that wasn't so like a stark black. I think, or like a pure black or anything. I think if I looked into like sepia tones or like red markers or anything like that, or even using like pencil crayons. I know people use pencil crayons as well to do their lines for watercolor paintings, and I think it's like, maybe it's just the look of it, like black lines and then coloring in black lines. I just really don't like anymore. I feel like it's just too much of a restriction, because I think that's why when I digitally paint, as well as like when I do traditional work, as well as like in my sketchbook, I've noticed this, like hence the reason why I went through like a big phase of doing like a sketch with my palette color Eno, and then I would use the Crayola markers to block in like colors and shapes and stuff, and then I do line work on top, and then the line work is literally like the last step. And I don't know, I feel like for me line work finishes off the piece because I like seeing that clarity come together at the very end. And for me to see it like right off the bat, I just feel way more intimidated. Like, but that being said, I follow like a lot of artists who have like beautiful line work. Like, I'm very envious of the people who can do beautiful line work. I have very stiff line work, I believe. Like, I'm getting better, but when I know I'm gonna be coloring the piece after, then I become like rigid. I become stiff and like my lines look really bad. I need to find a good happy medium, and I'm thinking of a way how I want to approach this year's Inktober. So as usual, I like to make a 17 themed Inktober. I've been doing that since, was it 2016, I think? I think this is the 4th year I'm doing it, but I like to make prompts for carrots so they can do a 17 based Inktober if they haven't found another one or they didn't make their own prompts yet. And it kind of forces like carrots to draw every member. I kind of make it in a way that you have to draw each of the members at least, I think 2 to 3 times. You have to draw them like once at the end, and I make you draw pretty much one member per day for 13 days because there's 13 of them. But yeah, I find it fun, but I think I want to challenge myself to approach Inktober a little bit differently. I did buy a different sketchbook recently that was marketed as a watercolor sketchbook, and I haven't found a way how I like to use the sketchbook because it's definitely not like 100% cotton or like the typical watercolor paper that I use. The watercolors does dry a little bit differently on the paper, which is hard for me to figure out how I want to use stuff on it. So I might use it maybe for inks, and I'm still debating whether or not I should do my best to do really detailed line work with ink and then do washes on top, or should I do washes and do inking on top? There's like plus sides and downsides for both, so I'll definitely think about it. I think I'm gonna lean towards doing line work at the end still. I love being able to do a lot of detail and fleshing things out after the fact. I don't know, I think I just garner more satisfaction from that. But you guys should let me know how you guys like to work. If you do inking, I'm very curious because I feel like sometimes I'm working in a backwards way, and then sometimes I feel like I'm working in a way that's just more suited for myself. Why is my phone going off? Hopefully you guys can't hear that. I'll try to keep my phone off my desk. But yeah, I had a lot of fun working on these flowers though. Like I said, I went a little bit too dark compared to like the different reference photos that I had. The color range is a little bit different. The one that I had done on Procreate was definitely more accurate. It was definitely more of a very light yellow with these little peachy tones highlighting certain areas. But when I did these flowers, I had too much fun adding more and more red tones into the orange and kind of like really deepening it. And even though I find it really nice, I kind of wish I kept the softness and the, I don't know, delicate nature that it would have been if I kept more areas a little bit more untouched. But I still think these look really nice. I kind of want to draw chrysanthemums now. I did draw chrysanthemums like a lot back in university, and the uppermost right flower, the way I have it blocked out right now, kind of reminds me of the petals of chrysanthemums near the center where they kind of curl inwards, and you can like meticulously do the shadows and line works of each individual petal. I don't know, I kind of want to draw chrysanthemums now. We'll see. If I find a 17 member that fits them really well, or maybe I'll draw Masaki transporting a bunch of chrysanthemums. Ugh, wait, that kind of sounds like hell though. I'll think about it. Maybe I just want to draw them because I love doing line work for flowers usually. But yeah, maybe I'll do flower themes for 17. I don't know. I don't want it to be too restricting for people who want to do Inktober, or like the 17 Inktober that I like to post. I won't restrict them to a theme per se. So I'm just blocking in a quick shadow underneath. I guess this indicates lighting a little bit, but nothing makes sense in this illustration. I have shadows like on the right and the left and nothing makes sense. I'm quickly doing the line work for the flowers itself as well as the leaves. The leaves, I accidentally chose a darker green color for the line work, and I decided to roll with it. So in the end, I am going to start to shade it a little bit darker, just so the line work doesn't look too flat and jarring to the eye. But yeah, I really like how the flowers look right now. I think sometimes when I add line work, it makes some of the things I paint look a little bit more childish, but it's kind of more like a stylistic choice. Like, I could definitely just leave the flowers like this and kind of just darken up certain parts of the lines to make it look more realistic, but I kind of like the cartoony-ish line work. It kind of just fits and melds in with Masaki, like how I've had Masaki painted, basically. I feel like I'm just like having a weird banter with myself. Like, I like this, but I don't like this, and I want to do this, but I also don't want to do this. Sorry for such like rambliness. But yeah, I think I'm going to practice more. I'm going to practice drawing flowers more. I'm gonna try inking a little bit more. After I get out of this weird traditional art funk, maybe I'll do a little bit more inking and like the next sketchbook I do. I think I just want to play around with graphite again. I just love graphite. I love everything about graphite. But yeah, hopefully sometime in the future, maybe in a couple of weeks or so, hopefully not too long, hopefully maybe by the end of September, maybe I'll have the sketchbook done. Maybe not, maybe I will. I don't want to put the pressure on myself, but I also want to just end the sketchbook so I can just start a new one, because the sketchbook is like low-key haunting me. It's like, finish me. Just finish me and get it over with. But yeah, just finishing off a lot of the line work here and there. I still think the flowers look pretty. I think I did an okay job. There's some areas like I wish I didn't go ham with the yellow, which is like the flower that I'm lining right now, as well as the one that's like right across from it, like diagonally up into like where Masaki's ahoge is, the little tick of hair, that one. And I kind of butchered that flower even more because I decided to push back and add a shadow underneath to make it look like the petal is curling in a little bit more, and I add this weird gray color. I don't know why, but it looks horrendous on it. I think I tried to either dab it off or I tried to lay over another orange. As you can see how muddy it looks up there now, but yeah. I was adding a purple color because I decided to change the shadow color that I was using to indicate a little bit more depth, because there are a lot of overlaying parts where they kind of just are overlapping each other. I need to push stuff into the background. I forgot to show a lot of the gouache that I'm using. That didn't make sense. I forgot to show the tube of gouache that I was using to do the highlights and stuff for his outfit and his hair. I'm adding one last shadow underneath his face as well as on the right side, just to push things back a little bit, and I think he's done. So I'm just gonna rip off the tape, and yeah. I am working on the hot press paper. Did I mention that? You guys probably already know because of the little flags above and stuff, but yeah, hot press paper, big ball of tape, and yeah, this guy is done, and will join with the rest of the paintings that I've done, and hopefully that this mini series will continue to move along. I'm thinking of either doing pink flowers next, or definitely more blue centered flowers that are a little bit more vibrant compared to the hydrangeas I did last time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching me paint and seeing another part of the series. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!